Okay, so my name is Peter Chappell. I've been a homeopath for 40 years. And this video is about the new technology I've created or facilitated for making PC remedies. And this is the hardest bit and so many people the most important bit of it all. So I just want to introduce you to how I got into homeopathy, or my books on homeopathy. So this is the first book I ever wrote on homeopathy, called Emotional Healing with Homeopathy, and I can assure you this book has gone into print in 5 or 6 or 7 languages, and there's been at least 50 people became homeopaths by reading this book, by being inspired by reading this book, which I wrote about 30 years ago now. And this book, for example, translated into this book, which I don't know what language it is now, but German, I think. And I also wrote another book called Healing with Homeopathy sometime after that, which is a very introductory book, which is out of print, but I'm sure you can get it somewhere. And I also wrote this book, which is the Second Simillimum, which is the book about my work on AIDS in Africa, the actual details of all the work and how it happened. And this book, Homeopathy for Diseases, which encapsulates this book and talks about all the work in Africa, but all the work with chronic diseases from people around the world. Okay, so the key thing is, how did I make PC remedies? So I'm assuming you've watched the other videos, so you've got the basic background. But here I am in Ethiopia in 2001, and I've taken 70 cases of AIDS. And I've realized that in homeopathy, all the homeopathic remedies and all the remedies in all forms of medicine which use herbs and things are really partial simillimums. There's no totality simillimums for any disease. That means there's no single remedy that has the picture which covers the totality of any disease. None has ever been discovered. This is what sank into me. Once I was sitting there in Ethiopia with these 70 cases of seriously sick people dying by the week if I wasn't careful, or wasn't working properly, or wasn't able to prescribe for them. And there were millions more like them. So I got the total simillimum and I was looking for it. And I was realizing that this had never been done. I had the best homeopathic software. I could search every book in homeopathy virtually. And I realized this wasn't going to work. And this put me into falling back on my own resources. And I then called upon some resource in me that I'd never used before. For about 20 years I had contact with a consciousness which was outside of the human dimensions. If you like, a figure which appeared originally in my top right hand quadrant at 45 degrees in NLP terms, which was there. We didn't do anything, we never talked, but was there. An enduring, kind, benevolent something. Looked like a guy in a cloak. And I sort of knew I could talk to this guy, but I didn't get any communication back. So at this point I said, I took a risk, having investigated every other option. And I was running out of money and such like in Ethiopia. I knew I had to get results or quit. So I said to him or her, it's not really sexed, here's a bottle. I said, here's the bottle. This is the remedy. I want the totality simillimum for AIDS in this bottle. And I put this bottle on a shelf and waited and left it there with a label on it, probably because I wanted to identify it. And I went and carried on with my work. And a few days later I realized it was made. It had been delivered. I know this intuitively just by looking. I always know intuitively when it's ready. And I also know when it's not ready. I just look and it's ready or not ready. So I took this remedy and I made copies of it by the normal homeopathic-like process, not quite the same, but similar. And I gave it to patients. I gave them a choice, the ones I'd already had as clients. I said, you can try you keep with the old one if it's working, and you can try the new one if it's not. Most of them were happy with the new one. And 2 weeks later, people came back and they started saying things like, the old mist system was quite good, but this is the real thing. Everybody who used it came back better. And it proved to be 100% reliable over a decade. Without this foundation experience, I would never have carried on developing PC technology and remedies. But that's how I do it. The situation has evolved a little in the last decade, in the whole decade, but it's essentially the same process. As far as I can see, this source is something like 17 levels removed from the human level, which is way beyond any conceptions we have of reality. Of course, all our conceptions of reality are artificial anyway, because space and time and all this solidness, even physics knows that doesn't exist anymore. So these are all the illusions of living in a body. So consciousness on multiple levels is something we don't understand either, and I'm not proposing to explain it. But I have written a booklet on it, which is 30, 40 pages, which goes into the details and explains it all to you if you're really interested. And if you go to the website, you can download it. You sign in and you can download it for free. Okay, so I think some of you might be interested in how did I get in contact with this source in the first place? And I can only tell you some of the things about my life. When I was about 9, I used to go to Canterbury Cathedral, which was within, well, I could get there easily on a Sunday. And I was just amazed, you know, a 9-year-old don't normally wander into cathedrals by themselves. But I did, and I liked it. And I kept going to Canterbury Cathedral all through my upbringing till I was, well, all through my teenage years. When I was about 25, I had a question in my head. Well, no, before that, I discovered how to invent. I was a rocket engineer, I would say, as the beginning of my life. I had a very high-tech education, and I worked in a top-level aerospace research and development lab. And I had 3 patents to my name by the age of 25. And I discovered the process of inventing. So then I became, at the age of 25, I was asking the question, excuse me, I've got a body, but where's, and I've got a body, and where's the manual? You know, I've got a motorbike, it comes with a manual, tells me how to ride it and how to clean it and how to make it work, keep it working. I've got a body and I don't get the rules, and don't tell me it's the Bible. I don't get it. So that was the question I started asking at the age of 25. In the age of 30-ish, before 30, I discovered the answer. I met a homeopath who seemed to know not only the answer, but the answer to every question I could conceivably formulate. And it turned the situation around. It became a bit like going to see Shakespeare and saying, could you please teach me my alphabet? Which was pretty crazy because, you know, the man who was teaching me was infinitely more skilled than I was, and he was a homeopath and the chief druid. So I ended up doing lots of druidic work, and I did druidic healing circles where we invoked healing forces on behalf of individual people to help them heal. And we did this on a routine level. I did it on a routine level for years and years and years. And I got into the hang of doing this sort of work. And we saw that people got healed by this process. I also later on did shamanic journeying with a guy called Kenneth Meadows and other people. And I learnt how to do shamanic journeys. Once I'd done it, I saw, oh, this isn't so difficult. There's ways, lots of ways into other dimensions. I didn't do this in any way deliberately, and I didn't hang around with it. I just did it out of interest as to what was the rest of what are the rest of the dimensions of the human race like. And somehow I acquired this guiding connection to this level of consciousness. I didn't really know what to do with it for, as I said, 20 years, until I was faced with this dilemma with AIDS. I think I've said this about AIDS anyway, but I will. The situation with AIDS was there was millions of people with AIDS, and in Ethiopia alone there were 70-something languages and 210 dialects. So you can see that taking a case with one rather incompetent interpreter presented a formidable challenge to get any information at all. And people came to me with AIDS from all over Ethiopia. They would have to sell several sheep to pay for the journey on the buses to get to see me. It was that extreme. But somehow they'd heard about me. So if you imagine Africa with another 100 or 1,000 languages and dialects, you couldn't imagine a system of homeopathy which worked for epidemic diseases by partial similliments. That's a ridiculous concept. You need the totality remedy, which of course conventional medicine understands. There's one germ, one virus, one disease, one remedy. That makes sense. And that was, well, without that degree of simplicity, there's no way of implementing it. What then transpired after some years of treating epidemic diseases, that of course all diseases, when you look at them closely, as I've described in the epigenetic miasm video, are really epigenetic and epidemic effects. So genus epidemicus applies to all diseases, which meant that I could make remedies for all diseases on the same principles and practice. So the thing that you might be now asking the question is, can you help me? Can I do this? And the answer is probably no. And can I teach you how to do it? And the answer again is probably no. You haven't lived my life and my journey. I can't teach you my life and my journey. But to answer this question, I've decided to create a new website with new remedies specifically for this task, to help people find their own sources of consciousness on other levels of existence, and to bring their life to its fruition, if you like, so that they can do whatever's appropriate to them or to you, so that you can do what's appropriate to you in your life. If that happens to be making remedies for diseases, fine. But if it happens to be making better footballs or better microchips, that's also fine. Everybody has a unique talents, a unique life, and unique abilities. And it might be as simple as making better cakes or growing better vegetables. This isn't rocket science. This is just changing the life to make it a more conscious and a better life, better quality life. It might be changing capitalism from the focus on investors to the focus on customers, which is the essential, maybe what capitalism needs to shift. But whatever it is, small or big, I've decided I'm going to try and teach people how to do that and facilitate that with PC remedies for that purpose, so they can make the transitions that I've made in their lives to their genius, if you like. So thank you for watching. That's it. And bye for now.